Petrol's dead, and so's diesel. That's the word from the UK government, who've just announced that sales of new petrol and diesel powered vehicles is going to be outlawed from 2030. That's only 9 more years until traditional combustion engine power is killed off. And that's not some funky EU law, that's the British Prime Minister who's laid it all down. But what does it mean for you and me and petrol heads and everybody else out there who love cars? Well, here's the bottom line, okay? The UK's date for the discontinuing of the sale of new petrol and diesel powered cars was originally 2040. Then that got brought forward to 2035, and this week it's been brought forward again to 2030. What's going on? Well, they're trying to jumpstart the market for electric cars in the UK and push the UK towards net zero emissions by the year 2050. What it means is that when 2030 rolls around, you'll still be able to buy used petrol and diesel powered cars, but new models won't be sold. It's all going to be old stock. As for new hybrids, well, at the moment, it looks like they're still going to be available, but only until 2035, so they get killed off 5 years later than petrol. But after that, what I understand is that all new cars will have to be fully electric. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is outrageous. This is awful. They're going to ruin everything for car lovers. But, controversial take here. I don't really care. In fact, I'm actually kind of glad. Now let me explain, all right? The first thing that I'll say is that whether you believe in climate change or not, having cleaner air in cities is a good thing. It's better than not having clean air. When cars get cleaner, we all win. See, back in the day, and a lot of you won't remember this, you might be too young, but we actually had leaded petrol. Petrol with lead inside. Lead is a toxic metal. They used to put poison in petrol just because it made engines run better. And this caused all kinds of health problems until the oil industry was forced to stop. People said, look, we can do better than this. And then we did. We moved to unleaded. And then we saw a chance to improve on that. So we introduced things like catalytic converters, and then we moved to hybrids, and then eventually electric cars, because, you know, all of that progress towards cleaner air in city centers, well, that's not a bad thing, is it? So that's the first thing. Cleaner air benefits everyone. The second thing, and this one is for all the people out there who think petrol cars are amazing, listen to this, right? In 2030, I guarantee you, petrol cars are going to be rubbish anyway. And that's because whether you like it or not, we're constantly making changes to cars to make them cleaner. And when you make those changes, you take away some of the things that people out there historically love about petrol cars. I'm talking about things like the noise, the performance, the emotional involvement, all the positive things, right? But those things are already being eroded. The Porsche Cayman went from a 6-cylinder to a 4-cylinder engine, and it sounded terrible. The next AMG C63, that's not going to have a V8 like the ones that came before it. That's going to be a 4-cylinder as well. Rolls-Royce, they specialize in making V12s, right? They're going all electric. As for noise is a big thing. Let's talk about that for a minute. Listen to this Ferrari 360 from back in the early 2000s. Now listen to this Ferrari F8 from 2020. You hear the difference? In another 10 years, new Ferraris are actually going to sound even worse than the F8 does today, because governments are introducing even more noise limits and more restrictions on emissions. If you want to find out more about that, click the link in the top right hand corner. So you can't say that, you know, we want petrol cars because they sound great. They don't, right? In fact, the only car that sounds great new, as far as I'm concerned, is pretty much Lamborghinis. But the rest, not really. Let's talk about performance. We already know that petrol cars aren't as fast as electric cars where acceleration is concerned. Pound for pound, the fastest thing in a straight line right now is a Tesla Model S. On a track, the story's slightly different, but the fastest Ferrari right now, that's the SF90. It's a hybrid that uses electric power. So performance isn't limited to petrol-powered cars. There's room for improvement when you bring in electricity. And then there's the whole range thing. People say electric cars don't go as far as petrol cars. You know, maybe you could argue that in a lot of cases, but electric cars go bloody far these days. The VW ID3 will go 350 miles on a single charge. London to Manchester is only 200 miles. How often do we need to make that kind of trip? Charge times? A rapid charger can take you from 10% to 80% in the time it takes to eat a Big Mac, half an hour. Alright, 2 Big Macs. But by the time 2030 rolls around, charging speeds and range will be even better. And the whole price thing? Well, in 10 years, EVs are going to be way cheaper than they are now. And the last thing I'll say, and it kind of pains me to say it, well actually it doesn't, I'll say it anyway, is that I don't really care that much about the engines in normal petrol powered cars. Performance cars, I love, right? But normal, everyday cars, the type that people use to get to work or drop the kids off at school, stuff bought by 90% of the population, meh, who has an emotional attachment to a 1 litre engine in a Fiesta? I've never met a single person who loves the 1.6 diesel in a Citroen. It just doesn't happen, not really. For most ordinary situations, electric cars, they're either fine or actually better. You haven't got some naff gearbox lurching the car around. You haven't got some horrible stop-start system that cuts the engine out whenever you pull up to a junction and then you floor it trying to tuck in between 2 cars doing some last-minute maneuver and it takes ages to start up again and then shakes the car when it does. You haven't got an engine rattling around in the bonnet in front of you. In an EV, it's all smooth, it's calm. Look at the VW ID3 for example. I'd much rather drive an ID3 than drive the brand new Golf. They're basically the same car, right? They're very similar, but the experience in the ID3 is just nicer. Get out of a Golf and then into an ID3 and the Golf feels like something from the Stone Age, really. Look, in an ideal world, here's how I would do things. I'd ban all the naff petrol and diesel stuff, so everything from the Fiesta to the 5 Series basically, and then I'd allow high performance petrol cars, alright? The stuff that, relatively speaking, not that many people buy, so Porsche 911s, V8 Mustangs, all the fun stuff. Even if you got to put a tax on those to discourage too many people from buying them or running them too often or running them in city centres. Call it the 500 horsepower tax. But everything else, let it be electric. That's how I'd run Planet Read, because then you get the best of both worlds. Clean air from the EVs that we run during the week, and then we can, have a bit of fun with the angry V8s on the weekend. And actually, even if we get rid of all new petrol cars, so be it, man, because I think that electric sports cars can and will be fun, and they'll start being even more fun when all the clever bods in the M division and the AMG divisions of this world start giving EVs their full attention. Yeah, it's going to be hard, don't doubt that, but look, if there's no struggle, there's no progress. And if not, like I said, there's always used cars, there's always the stuff on Autotrader, so you can still get your rocks off. Am I right? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. But as always, thanks for watching, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.